From the Lower Colorado River Authority, this is Wavelength.
Hi everyone, welcome to the August edition of Wavelength. Vice President Al Gore visited Austin recently, and he held a press conference on the banks of the Colorado River to talk about the Clean Water Act and how important it is to continue the efforts to keep our lakes and rivers clean. The Vice President arrived at the Town Lake press conference by water, and he stopped along the way to visit with people in a small armada of boats which had gathered to greet him. The landing party, which included U.S. Representative Lloyd Doggett and Austin Mayor Bruce Todd, was welcomed ashore by LCRA Board Chair Teddy Bain. The Vice President spoke to several hundred people lining the river about what it takes to protect our precious natural resources.
And the success story of the Lower Colorado River and Town Lake has come about because of the very best kind of partnership between government at all levels, business and private citizens. And it's an example of how we can work together. What better evidence of that kind of successful partnership than groups like the Lower Colorado River Authority or treatment centers like the South Austin Regional Wastewater Treatment Plant and the Hornsby Bend Wastewater Treatment Facility. I see they're well represented here.
Following his speech, the Vice President performed some water quality tests with help from members of the Colorado River Watch Network.
This is your phosphate. Yep. What you do is, we've set it up already. You can see there's a little bit of blue in there, right? Right.
For Andrew Rivera, who has been a member of the Austin Youth River Watch for the past 3 years, meeting Al Gore was the highlight of what has been a very busy summer. He says that getting involved with the River Watch Network helped turn his life around.
The Austin Youth River Watch made me see that I can be part of this whole society and be helpful to it, which a lot of youth feel far away from. They feel like they're the outcasts of society. And the Austin Youth River Watch lets them play a very important role in the whole aspect of not only science, math, but the whole environment.
As a parting gesture, the Vice President gave Andrew something to remember this very special day by.
With increased competition and deregulation in the electric utility industry, many consumers have been wondering what's going to happen to their electric rates. Well, the LCRA just took a major step towards holding the line on their wholesale electric rates by announcing that they would extend the existing rate freeze an additional 5 years to the year 2005. We talked with General Manager Mark Rose about it.
Well, we're in the process of updating our long-term financial plan, and what we will be bringing to the board in October, I believe, is the most important document that we've produced around here. We froze our rates in 1991, I believe it was, for a couple of years, and then we came back in 92 and froze them for 8 more years for a total of 10 years. We're halfway through that now, and we can see that we can maintain that rate freeze till the year 2000, just like we promised. And that's a tremendous commitment for us to have met. But it's time for us to take the next step, and that's to look at extending that commitment for another 10 years. It's not going to be easy to do. It's going to have some tremendous challenges in meeting that goal. That would have been 15 consecutive years without a base rate increase when you play it all out, and that's a pretty tremendous accomplishment. Why are we doing it? Well, if we're not adding infrastructure, we've got to ask ourselves, then why would we be raising our rates? We've got to live within our means, number one. Secondly, we've got to be competitive, and there are some competitive pressures out there on us that even though our rates are low, we must address them. And then number three, the most successful that we have been around here has been when we have given ourselves a hard challenge and gone after it. And this is certainly that kind of a challenge. So we've targeted the year 2005 for the rate freeze. We're working on that now. It is a work in progress. There might be some changes, but I don't think they'll be dramatic. and we'll be coming forward with what I think will be one of the more challenging goals in the history of this organization. But it also may be the very goal that allows us to survive over the next 20 to 30 years.
For the past several years, the LCRA has been cutting expenses and improving efficiency. We've held our electric rates low and are committed to keeping them low. And we've improved the services we offer to our customers. Recently, the agency reaped the benefits of all those efforts when the nation's 3 largest bond companies upgraded the LCRA's ratings.
And from a financial point of view, having the rating agencies reflect an upgrade on you is basically the most independent source of an evaluation of an organization. And for us to have received that at this point in time is totally contrary to the trend in the industry, which is a really important thing for us to be able to tell our public, our customers, particularly as we begin to face issues as the industry changes, customer relations, relationships with Austin, all those kinds of things. We'll have a great story that we can tell with relationship to our reputation and our ability to perform.
In June, Standard & Poor's rated the LCRA the #1 municipal electric supplier in the nation through their recent competitive assessment analysis. Fitch Investor Services followed with ratings upgrades on July 27th, stating that the LCRA was in the top 5 utilities in the country, both public and private. And the rankings are more than just kudos. They will ultimately save millions of dollars.
At some point in time in the future, if LCRA issues debt, we would save from 10 to maybe 12 basis points, which is really 1/10 of 1%. And when you put that on millions of dollars or hundreds of millions of dollars to our end customers, that would be a very large savings in terms of the interest that they would pay on any debt that we issue.
Financial experts will be keeping a close eye on the LCRA, and so will other utility companies who compete with LCRA for new customers.
Governor George W. Bush has appointed 3 new members to the LCRA Board of Directors. Frederick Henneke of Hunt is designated an at-large director from the electric service area. Peter Pinkoffs of Austin will represent Travis County. And Steve Rivers of Bastrop is an at-large member from LCRA's 10-county statutory district. Members serve on the LCRA board for terms which last for 6 years. Joe Bricker is the new plant manager at the Fayette Power Project in LaGrange. He was chosen for the job after an extensive search both inside and outside of the LCRA. Bricker has been with the company since April of '94 and has over 26 years of experience in the utility industry. Bricker was promoted from his position as operations manager at FPP and says he is very excited about this opportunity.
Probably the biggest challenge in this new position is really knowing what we want to do. I think we find ourselves in a position as a utility right now with a very level playing field as a result of the recent legislation where we have all the right and privilege of any utility in the state of Texas. We have good finances. Standard & Poor's report that we have just gotten sets us in an excellent position to go out on the marketplace and get the funding that we need. We have a good group of employees. We have a good group of management. FPP is a very progressive plant, very well situated for the future. It's a good group of people doing a good job. We're going to continue doing that and look for every opportunity to improve as we go forward in the future.
It was the largest event of its kind ever conducted in the state of Texas. More than 300 volunteer divers gathered at 8 sites on Lake Travis to go down under and clean up the lake bottom.
They go down here every weekend and they see things that people throw away like Coke cans and boat batteries and motors and chairs. And they've agreed to come down here once a year and adopt the underwater portion of the lake. And they're going to clean it up, pick up any kinds of trash for us. They're going to help us map things like foliage growth underneath the water and any kinds of specific dump sites that maybe we can provide some enforcement, or maybe we can second guess our vacationers and see if we can stop the waste from going on down here.
As expected, divers retrieved thousands of glass containers, plastic bottles, and aluminum cans. They also came up with some very unusual items.
We found some pretty neat stuff, some chairs, a Madonna CD. It's pretty neat, but Cynthia made me throw it away.
You bet.
Lots of cans. We ought to get enough aluminum out of there to do the LCRA picnic next year.
So far this year, we've found anything from a plastic cup up to a complete engine block that we're going to go back down in a little bit and mark with a plastic bag and hope we can get it out.
The divers have pulled out a number of batteries today from the lake, and that we're happy that they've gotten them out. We're also very concerned about what the batteries do to the drinking water. Not only the sulfuric acid and the chemicals in the battery, but the lead releases toxic chemicals into the lake, and that's pretty distressing, but we're getting them out, and so we feel good about that. We have to dispose of them properly as if they were a hazardous chemical, because they really are, and so we keep them in these containers to travel in. The lead will be recycled and actually goes to produce more batteries. So we're glad that we can help that process.
Will you holler at us when they're all up?
The event also netted 18 55-gallon drums, 3 barbecue pits, and a 75-foot long table. The Friends of the Colorado River Foundation sponsored the cleanup with help from area dive shops, the Department of Public Safety, the Coast Guard Auxiliary, and volunteers from the LCRA. It seems like a simple enough problem. Remove the old paint from Wirtz Dam and give it a new coat. But when the same job was done at Buchanan Dam in 1993, the sandblasting process, which removes the old lead-based paint, generated 124 tons of hazardous waste, costing the LCRA over $70,000 to dispose of. A team of LCRA employees from Water Resources, Hydro, and Environmental tackled this problem and discovered a new technology called hydroblasting, which is cleaner, safer, and cheaper. The process uses pulsating water at very high pressure to remove the paint. The water is contained in a closed-loop system in which filters remove all of the paint particles, allowing the same water to be used again and again.
Using this process, we're going to reduce our hazardous waste by about 98%. If we'd use conventional technology, we would generate maybe about 70 or 80 tons of hazardous waste in the form of spent sandblast material. With this process, the only hazardous waste we're going to generate are the filters. We're only going to generate 1,100 pounds. So incredible savings there.
The new paint being used on Wirtz is also environmentally friendly.
One of the big benefits to using this particular type of paint over traditional coatings that we used to use is the VOC content, or the volatile organic compounds that are in the paint. Traditional coatings that we used usually had between 7 and 8 pounds of VOCs per gallon applied to the surface. This particular coating that we used here is really what we call a high solids paint. It only has 2.8 pounds of VOCs per gallon applied. So looking at about 50,000 square feet of surface that we're applying to this, we got about an 80% reductions in VOCs that we would have released to the atmosphere.
By using this new process, the LCRA will save more than $250,000 in material, labor, and waste disposal costs. Several LCRA employees who were instrumental in implementing this new process were rewarded for their efforts through a new company-wide awards program.
If you want to find out what's on your customers' minds, pull out a trailer full of fish and ask away. That's the recipe LCRA used in Brady recently, and it seemed to work.
This is great. It's a big crowd. I've never seen one this big here in Brady anyway.
Well, we're delighted to be here today, to be the guest of LCRA. We've always liked LCRA, and they've done great things for us, and perhaps they could do great things for us in the future. One of our prominent councilmen is gone to work for LCRA now, and that's Ray Swartner, an old friend of ours. So hopefully we'll have some good things between the two of us. This is a great get-together. There's a lot of folks here, friends from all over this part of the country, and we're glad to see them, and glad y'all could come by and give us this little picnic.
You can add one more place to visit along the Colorado River Trail, this one in San Saba.
Here we go.
Yeah. Mill Pond Park was officially dedicated recently culminating a collaborative effort between the LCRA, City of San Saba, and the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department to make it all happen. In addition, inmates from the San Saba Correctional Facility helped reduce the cost of the park by providing much of the manual labor. The park has all of the traditional amenities, including a track and field facility.
We feel like it's very important because we're the upper county of the LCRA, and this is where the trail begins to go down, meander all through central Texas to Matagorda Bay. And this park is the northernmost park of the Colorado River Trail. So it all starts right here, and we're so proud of the park.
Mill Pond Park is yet another example of the type of project that the LCRA is helping develop along the Colorado River Trail. To some people, the expansive desert of West Texas may be nothing more than a barren wasteland, suitable only for cactus, tumbleweed, and tarantulas. But from the heat of the desert rise gusts of wind that make their way to the top of the Delaware Mountains. It is here where LCRA engineers are capturing this invisible power and transforming it into electricity. This is the Texas Wind Power Project, a joint effort by the LCRA, the Texas General Land Office, and the Kennetech Corporation. Project engineers Deb Lewis and Tom Foreman have spent more than 2 years on the project, and as it nears completion, it has renewed their belief that wind power is a viable source of affordable energy for the future of Texas.
It's been 3 years since we began the concept of putting renewable power, and particularly wind power, into our integrated resource plan. And now it's nice to see that 2 years after we really began in earnest trying to get it developed, you can see behind me here that the units are under construction and the plant's almost a reality.
The work has been hot and difficult. The terrain is rugged, forcing truck drivers to be innovative with their deliveries. And then there are the afternoon thunderstorms that are strikingly beautiful and equally dangerous. The wind project is located in Culberson County, one of the windiest spots in the country according to engineers. Wind speeds average 18 miles per hour, which ultimately could generate 750 megawatts of electricity. For now, the project is designed for 35 megawatts. LCRA will take 25 and the City of Austin the other 10. The towers stand 80 feet tall and the fiberglass blades extend 50 feet. At the top of each tower is the nacelle, where the generator is housed. Once electricity is generated, it is sent to a substation, which then sends it via the grid system to LCRA's service area.
As you can see in the background, we are a long way from anywhere. In fact, we're 30 miles from the nearest transmission line. So besides Kennetech Wind Power actually providing the construction, we've had a lot of help from our neighboring utility, in this case Texas Utilities, to provide the interconnection and to help us get this power hooked up into their transmission system so that 400 miles later it can flow into the Lower Colorado River Authority's transmission system.
When the project goes online in September, it will be a tribute to many people throughout the LCRA who have worked hard to bring wind power to Central Texas.
As project manager of this project, I've had to rely on a lot of the people at LCRA. In the lands department, the transmission department, legal, etc., all the way down the line for the last 2 years, and especially the last 6 months or so. And I hope that we can get them out here to see this project. I hope they're as proud as I am when I look at it.
From the Delaware Mountains in West Texas, that's it for this edition of Wavelength. We'll see you next time.